Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alf Langen. I'm an attorney whose office is in Green Bay, although my practice is all around Wisconsin, primarily in Northeast Wisconsin. I'm in Green Bay, which is in Brown County, but I practice in all the surrounding counties as well as other counties even out beyond that. Thank you very much for opting into this series of videos. My purpose in making these videos is to provide information to you so that you can have a better understanding as to how the process works when you're thinking about going through a divorce and ending your marriage. It's a life-changing event for everybody that goes through this sort of thing, and it can be very daunting. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of things like, well, my sister's best friend just went through something like this, and this is what happened to her, or that sort of thing. So you hear all kinds of rumors, you hear all kinds of stories, and the bottom line is that 90% of what you're hearing is probably not completely accurate in terms of how the law actually works. Not through any fault of the people that are telling you these things. It's just that they don't really understand themselves. Sometimes, even if they've gone through it, they don't really understand it. So, my purpose here in this series of videos, starting with this one, is to simply provide information to you so that you will have a better understanding as to how this works, so that when you go through this, it removes some of the mystery. And by doing that, we'll make it a less scary process. So, what we're going to do here is over the next several days, we're going to make several videos that you'll be getting one at a time in your email box. So you're not going to be overwhelmed with anything. Each video is only going to be a few minutes long, and we'll talk about a different topic. Okay. So today's topic is the basics of the law in Wisconsin. That's the first thing that we have to start with. Okay. So, and there's a lot more details that go into this, of course, but I just want to tell you some of the basics here so that you have an understanding as to what the law essentially is in Wisconsin and how it works. First thing you need to know about Wisconsin divorce law is that Wisconsin is what's called a no-fault divorce state. That means that we don't have to get into the mud throwing. We don't have to get into the he cheated on me, or he beat her up, or she's a crazy alcoholic, or whatever it is, whatever the problem is that is between the two of you that led you to this position. Court doesn't have to get into that. Okay, so we're a no fault state, and essentially all we have to do is just tell the court the magic phrase, which is that the marriage is irretrievably broken. Now, what happens if one of you doesn't want to get divorced? The other one does. The other party does. Well, the court's not going to make somebody who doesn't want to be married continue to be married. So as long as one of you says that the marriage is irretrievably broken, the court's going to grant the divorce. Second thing that you need to understand about the law is about the kids. Who gets the kids? There's a common misperception that I've probably heard 100 times from different people over the years, that moms get the kids, that the mothers end up getting the children more often than the fathers. That might have been true before I had gray hair, but it's not true anymore. It hasn't been true for a long time. Wisconsin has changed its law many years ago, and it's still the law today, that basically what happens is that the court is required to fashion a placement arrangement that maximizes the amount of time that each parent spends with their kids. Now, the way the courts usually interpret that is that people are pretty much going to share placement of their kids. Doesn't mean they're going to have an exactly equal placement. It's going to depend on those circumstances that are unique in your situation. But the bottom line is that no one parent has an advantage over the other simply by reason of their sex. As far as custody is concerned, custody refers to responsibility to make decisions for your kids, the major decisions. There's a presumption under the law that you're going to have joint legal custody, which means you guys will make these decisions together. Doesn't have to end up that way, but that's how most cases end up. Property, what happens with the house, what happens with our stuff, what happens with our debts. Wisconsin's a marital property state. What does that mean? That means that with a few exceptions, very few exceptions that don't apply in 99% of the cases, pretty much everything you have is going to be divided between you. We start with the presumption it's going to be divided evenly. It doesn't have to end up that way for various reasons. We can, get into those reasons in subsequent videos here. But the bottom line is that pretty much everything that you guys have, everything that you own, everything that you owe is going to be divided evenly between you. So that at the end of the day, you're both going to walk away with about the same amount of property, same amount of debt, all that sort of thing. It's another common misperception I hear. I can't get divorced because I'll get saddled with all the debt. No, that doesn't necessarily work out. Who's going to pay maintenance? They used to call it alimony a long time ago. Spousal support. Well, in Wisconsin, if you've been married for at least 12 years, then the court has to look at that issue. It has to make a determination as to whether it's appropriate that somebody pays maintenance. Does that happen all the time? No, not all the time. But the bottom line is that if you've been married a long time and there's a disparity in your incomes, well, then someone's going to pay maintenance, probably at least a little bit. How long do they pay maintenance? A whole bunch of factors that go into that. How much is that? Again, a bunch of factors that go into that. I won't cover them here. But the bottom line is that somebody might pay some maintenance for some period of time. Finally, child support. How does child support work? That's a whole other subject, and it gets very detailed as well. But the bottom line is that if you have kids and you are sharing placement of these children, even if you're sharing placement equally, if one of you makes more money than the other one, someone's going to pay child support. Okay, so we'll get into all those topics later. But the bottom line is that I wanted you to have some basic understanding as what the law is here in this state, so that again, so that you have some information about how this works. So anyway, thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me by replying to the email or calling, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Otherwise, I look forward to the next video, and I hope you do too. Thanks. Bye.